This video is part of a series on Unionist marginalisation, focusing on political programmes broadcasting in Northern Ireland. The View. Maybe the clue is in the name, not the views, as the View being presented has a nationalist focus, as it is almost completely devoid of a unionist perspective. That is fine, but in a democracy on a public service broadcast, what programme contains the alternative view from a unionist perspective? It is shocking that the BBC, a public service provider, a broadcaster proud of its impartiality, honesty and balanced reporting around the world, paid for by the electorate, can allow a programme to be broadcast that has a built-in bias against one section of the Northern Ireland community. The panel in the episode in question, broadcast on the 23rd of June 2022 were presenter for the BBC, Marie-Louise Connolly, St Dominic's High School on the Falls Road, has been at the corporation since 1992 and took on the health role in April 2009. After completing a degree in politics at Queen's University, she studied a master's in journalism at Dublin City University. Would be perceived as nationalist. Presenter for the BBC, Mark Carruthers comes from a nationalist background, was born in Derry, or Londonderry depending on your loyalties, and has a degree in political sciences and Irish politics. His political affiliation will be generally interpreted as nationalist. Presenter for the BBC, Enda McLafferty, born in Letterkenny, Republic of Ireland, currently living in St Johnstone, County Donegal in the Irish Republic and working as the political editor of BBC NI. His nationality is Irish Republican. Mr Colin McGrath, Social Democratic and Labour Party, born in Downpatrick, elected to serve South Down as an MLA in 2016 and again in 2017. Colin is the current chair of the SDLP and health spokesperson. He is a nationalist. Dr. Courtney is a consultant endocrinologist, having graduated from Queen's University Belfast in 1992 and trained in endocrinology and diabetes in Northern Ireland, invited on in a medical specialist role. Dr. Ursula Simpson, Royal College of GPs, invited on as a medical specialist. Apparently the Northern Ireland Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, Robin Swan, was also invited, but declined. Could it be that he came to the conclusion that it was a nationalist get-together, a hostile environment for him, so he would be out of place? In any event, they either didn't try too hard to get a replacement, or every other unionist invited came to the same conclusion, so there was no unionist participation in the programme. The deviously clever plan to have a resident of the Irish Republic, Enda McLafferty, with no experience of the Northern Ireland Health Service, to replace the Health Secretary and all unionism, discussing the health service infrastructure and giving an interpretation of unionist activities in the following video.
What's your sense, Enda, of how much pressure the DUP is under to move? Because we just heard from Colin McGrath tonight saying the reason the situation is as difficult as it is and the problems in the health service are as dire they are at least in part because of the DUP's decision not to go back in and reform the executive.
Well, I don't think right now the DUP feels under pressure because they say they're hearing it on the doorsteps that people are telling them to stand firm, to stay strong, see this process through. We've also had recently, of course, the poll in the Belfast Telegraph saying that Unionists were comfortable with the position adopted by the DUP. Now, I think that picture could change come the autumn time whenever people start, after their summer break, if you like, starting to assess their finances, see, for instance, the cost of living crisis starting to bite. Then you might see some pressure coming on the DUP. And I think there is a sense within government that perhaps whenever the legislation moves to the House of Lords, that could be this junction, if you like, where the DUP might well decide to support this election of a Speaker, paving the way for the return for the Assembly, because we do know that they're going to do that return in a graduated way, so it'll be stage by stage.
Okay.
Apparently in Enda's world the Catholic population had sufficient principles to stay out of Stormont for 3 years on a minor point of principle to achieve their aim, the Irish language, all without a media backlash or public outcry, as it was their democratic right. Protestants, on the other hand, are so money-orientated, have such a short attention span, so stupid, that their province can be relegated to a colony. The Northern Ireland supply chain can be redirected to Ireland, Britain can be excluded, and they will get over it by the autumn. There is absolutely no evidence to support his supposition, as the DUP was elected on this course of action, in spite of media prophecies of doom, only losing electoral support to even more extreme parties. On other occasions there has even been the suggestion that the rules governing Parliament should be changed to block the protest. Hypocrisy doesn't cut it. This is straightforward discrimination. What's happening is the equivalent of appointing a Russian as Ukraine's BBC Ukraine's political editor, then asking him or her what the Ukrainian population were thinking. You couldn't invent this stuff if you tried. And if you did, no one would believe it. Unfortunately, propaganda is insidious. Facts, honesty, integrity and the truth have no relevance, which is why we need a media in Northern Ireland whose only focus is in serving all the people of Northern Ireland